Hi, Andrew here, and today
I'm free.
to discuss that time when Flatsoid didn't understand the globe. Yes, I know that doesn't really narrow it down, well, at all, but I selected two in particular from the past week, so sit back and enjoy this derpy double feature. First off, it's the time he gave the Flats React treatment to the debate between Geron and former Space Force Commander Matthew Lohmeyer, and the subject turned to intercontinental ballistic missiles. Now, I won't embarrass PJ Cruikshank by mentioning that he confused the science of ballistics with the concept of a ballistic trajectory. No, I absolutely won't mention it at all.
They use ballistics to find out the direction and angles of rounds coming out of weapons and stuff, That's got nothing to do with space.
Soviet Union, now Russia, China, pick your grand competitor. They're lobbing intercontinental ballistic missiles over the poles in our globe Earth model.
Over the pole.
And we are picking that up by point.
Over the poles. Are you sure about that? They're lobbing it over the poles. Sorry, why would they take an intercontinental ballistics missile over a pole if it takes it further distance? Last time I checked, it's more viable to send something a shorter distance, correct? So why will they send it over the poles if they have to send it to a remaining country? I mean, if the country's east of you, you're not going to shoot it north. That's just idiotic.
Pointing our ground-based radars over that pole in the direction of those northern countries, China and Russia, former Soviet Union. The idea of an...
Last time I checked, you don't go through the pole to go to China or Soviet Russia, mate.
I mean, why would you on a globe? I mean, they're not sitting at the very, very top, so why would you from where you're at?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Is he trying to say they use a Gleason's map?
Yeah.
Where they have to go through the North Pole to get to the other side?
It's fascinating that Flatsoid doesn't seem to understand the geometry of the globe or of the Gleason map. It's possible that he can only think of the world as looking something like a Mercator projection. On the globe and the Gleason, the path from North America to northern Eurasia is actually pretty similar because the Gleason doesn't distort the high latitudes very much, but not according to two of the globe's leading flat Earth geographers.
This would be the North Pole on the Gleason's map.
Yeah.
Okay? And let's say they're in America now and they want to shoot over to Russia or something.
Yeah.
It goes over the North Pole.
Yeah. But on a globe,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It goes over the North Pole. Now, let's go quickly to Google Earth.
On a globe, you'd be nowhere near going across the North Pole. You'd bypass that completely.
There's a globe Earth, guys. Now, let's say you're there again and you're shooting to Russia. You're going to go that way. You're not going to go past over the North Pole.
Completely nowhere near it.
Yeah, you're not going close to the North Pole. You're just going to shoot it straight over that way.
Whilst you might think the problem here is that he thinks that going over southern Greenland and Iceland isn't getting close to the poles, it's actually that Flatsoid thinks the United States has its ICBMs located along the Atlantic coast. Now, it doesn't take too much strategic acumen to decide not to locate something your enemy might like to lob their nuclear missiles at right among your major population centres. It's been common knowledge for absolute decades that US silos are in the northern Great Plains region, by far their least populated area. And with the advent of disarmament and non-proliferation treaties, it's trivially easy to find where they are actually located. It took me all of 5 minutes to get these KMZ files of their locations and load them into Google Earth. Now, if the US was to fire at the major population centres in Russia, then indeed the missiles would be going over the polar region. And if Russia was to fire at the US population centres, then the same would also be true. So just because Russia is east of the US doesn't mean that you travel east to get there. So well done, Flatsoid, on not understanding how the globe works. and welcome to the second Flatzoid fail. This one is concerning his claim that pole-to-pole circumnavigation has never been done.
The only way you're going to validate for a globe Earth is if they do north to south circumnavigation, but that's never ever been done.
I counted that a few days ago with the details of the 1979 to 1982 Transglobe expedition, which closely followed the prime meridian from London to the South Pole, continuing along the anti-meridian to leave Antarctica via the Ross Ice Shelf before sailing to Auckland, Sydney, then up the west coast of North America, over the North Pole and back to London. His initial response was, "Nuh-uh." To quote him, "Shame that none of this nonsense can be proven. Just take word for it, hey." Also note, place this route on a AE map and see your issue. And thank you, Flatzoid, for actually doing this in your community post, where you drew what you thought was the expedition route on a Gleason map, but failed utterly to understand the pseudo-cylindrical Robinson projection which you presented in the second image. This map is from an article in 2019 by Medium.com, and it was written around the time of the 40th anniversary of the start of the expedition, and is not the official representation of the route. Now, the artist who has drawn this has been slightly inaccurate in drawing the journey from the South Pole to the Ross Ice Shelf, as it should follow the bottom right edge of the map to the Scott Glacier and then on to Ross Island. Now, by comparison, Flatzoid has been entirely disingenuous by drawing them going directly from the South Pole to Adelaide and then Auckland and Los Angeles. Flatzoid, you could have avoided this obviously inadvertent but quite embarrassing mistake if only you had based your drawing off the actual route as given by the expedition website. Well, then again, maybe it was intentional. If so, then thank you, Flatzoid, for confirming yet again that you got a lighter flurf.